Okay, I think we are ready to get started. So welcome again. Today we will talk about something which I'm personally very passionate about. And I think that this is something that we really need more of in this world. So we will talk about creativity, finding and expressing our creative potential, and also how astrology can help us do that, of course. So my plan for our live session is first to give you some points about ideas, what you can explore in the chart, or generally what you can consider if you are trying to get closer to this potential or to express it better. So there will be this like a presentation or introduction part. I will also share with you about my new program, which starts during March, which is about astrology, GSR, and creativity. And also, if we have a volunteer, I would look at someone's chart and use it as an example. So we will do this live together with you if you want. If not, I can find, I guess, some kind of celebrity chart or something, but it would be better if we have this live experience with you. So let's get started with what is creativity. I think the more popular understanding is that creativity is music, it's painting, it's everything that has to do with art, with its performance art, like the different variations of art, which is true. But for me, creativity goes beyond this. So you may not be a professional writer or musician, and you can still be very creative. And from this point of view, creativity, what I understand by creativity is doing something in your own way. Like that's the simplest way I can put it. To do something, and this could be anything, in your own unique way. And the way that resonates with you, with your uniqueness, with your individuality, with your, it could be values, beliefs, like many, many things. Why is this so important? Because when you express something which resonates truly with you, with yourself, it is unique because you are unique, and every one of us is unique, and every one of us has also their unique birth chart. Even twins charts have some variations and some differences. So when we understand ourselves better, our potential blockages, also our talents, our challenges, all of this, we can get closer to what would be our own way to do things. And it could be like very general, how you do things, or it could be narrowed down to something specific. For example, you really want to create music or produce music or write a book or produce movies or write a play or whatever. It could be in sports. It could be in absolutely every area. It could be creative business. So when you understand better yourself and your individuality, You can do things in the way that they would resonate with you. And from that, something unique can be born, which means something creative, in other words. And I'm skipping a little bit ahead, but I want to mention this now. In the birth chart, the house which is most important when it comes to creativity is fifth house. But fifth house is also related to other things, not just creativity. It's related to love, including romantic love, also generally the things that we love in life. It could be entertainment, hobbies, our children. Also important part, our ability to take risks. Because to be creative, you need to take certain risks. It takes some courage, it takes some, desire to put yourself out there or to do something in your own way. So fifth house describes all of those different things, including the actual creative process. And this isn't random. This isn't by accident that those things are put together. So creativity goes along with or is on the same level of importance as love, as also doing something with your heart and soul. That includes our children, who usually are a very important part of our life, and they are like our future, literally. So when you focus on creativity, or when this is a priority for you, when you find ways to really tap into this potential and express it, you kind of feel like you are in love with your own life, that generally you are excited, you are passionate. And it should be fun. It should be something that you enjoy. I'm not saying that other stuff don't matter. Discipline, responsibility, yes. In our material world, that's also relevant. But for the most part, creativity really happens or comes out when we do something with pleasure and joy, when we love it, when we are passionate about it, and it feels like this is our child. So such wonderful things can be experienced when we focus on this. And again, you don't need to be a professional painter or musician to be creative. Another reality check is also that, of course, we are not equally creative. That's just true, and it's absolutely normal. We all have different potential in different life areas. And yes, there are some people, I won't call them lucky, because I don't think that this is just luck. I think that there is always something behind it, but there are those people who are really talented, extreme creative potential, and they really, change things for their community, or sometimes in even larger scales. And of course, not every one of us has this potential, and that's normal, and it's okay. And we may have our own potential, but the truth is that when you find a way to express it, you will experience the same joy as the joy and fulfillment that the other person, the extremely creative person, also feels and experiences. That happens when we work or we resolve our Jupiter issues, because if we have Jupiter issues, we may want to be the best, or to be very impressive, or to receive lots of recognition. But that's another theme. But if we accept our own potential, our own level and position, first of all, we can grow from this. And second of all, we can really find what resonates with us and not pursue somebody else's creative ideas or dreams or goals or anything like that. So yes, creativity is not equally given to everybody, and that's totally fine. Another thing I want to say when we talk about the connection between astrology and creativity, and if we want to find indications which are specifically relevant to creativity, the first advice or recommendation I would give you is to look at the whole chart. Our whole birth chart is like a map of the things which are possible for us. There is a very common and important question in astrology. How much is predefined? How much we can change from what has been given to us from the birth chart? My opinion is that what you see in the birth chart is what you can really work with. Another question, are there unchangeable things or real limitations? But I mean, like, not just Saturn making a tough aspect with the planet, but like real limitations. And the truth is that, yes, there are. For every one of us, there is like a corridor of possibilities, and it's different for everyone. And there are things which can really be beyond what's possible naturally for us. But I want to tell you that those are things that, first of all, you will not recognize in the birth chart. And second of all, you will not even think about and focus on those things, because for you, they just don't exist. So everything that you are thinking about, dreaming, you see it in the outside world, you recognize it. Even if it feels like it's out of reach or it's not yours, but if you can see it, then you resonate with it somehow. The things which are really, really impossible and unchangeable, you don't even recognize them, and you are not worried about them. And that's okay. And that's true for everyone. So don't worry about this. My point here, the main point here is that if you see something in the chart, it means that you can work with this energy, you can process it, you can develop from there, you can find creative ways also to use your own chart. So yeah, that's a very important note. And as I said, the whole chart matters. Your whole chart. Yes, there are particular indications which would be even more important, which we may start with, but in general, your whole chart describes your potential. Another thing I want to add here, speaking about potential, but also from the perspective of time. The truth is that during our lifetime, usually, if not for everyone, we are not developing or getting in touch with the whole potential of the chart. We can get to some part of it. And with time, we can also get in touch with more and more parts of us or our potential. I like this example. Imagine when a baby is being born. they can't speak, they can't understand, they don't have this rational thinking developed yet, or memory, all of this, at least on a conscious level. But then this baby or child grows and they learn to speak, and they may have different talents, including, for example, let's say a talent to be a speaker, or to be a writer, or to be a great communicator. But this potential, even though it exists from the birth, it's not used, and that's normal. So, for example, this potential might be revealed when the person is in their 20s. For someone, it could be when they are in their 50s or 60s. But at least the minimum is until, the child really starts to understand, to be able to really interact with people. So it takes at least a few years. And that we understand very well, and we are not surprised, right? It's very natural. Well, the same applies to many other different potentials. We may have them as a seed, and yet it may take some time until we can tap into this. Or yes, sometimes it depends also on the environment, the circumstances, or in astrology terms, it depends on the transits, the progressions that you will have. Yes. But the important thing here is that you might have a potential which is not fully developed yet or expressed yet. And actually, I'm pretty sure that every one of us has this. And that's why we have our full lifetime, hopefully long and rewarding one, because you can't express everything, by the age of 15 or 20 or even 30. And this is normal. So you might be surprised, or this could be also the explanation why, for example, some people see something in the birth chart, but for them it feels like there is some kind of blockage, or they can't really express this. Yes, that's also a valid point. There could be different blockages and barriers. To have a creative potential, it doesn't mean that everything will work out right away from the first time you try it by the age of 15 or 20, right? It usually doesn't work like that. So it may take some time, and it may take some work to fix some blockages, barriers, limitations, things that are stopping you. But if you see it in the chart, especially if you have the focus on this and intention and desire, this is an indication that you have this potential. What can stop us from expressing this potential? Well, yes, there are different astrology indications. I will just mention a few possibilities, but again, they could be much more. For example, let's say that you have interceptions in the birth chart, intercepted planets, planets in more invisible houses. For example, 12th house, 4th house, 8th house. They can put things a little bit under the surface. So yes, there are positions which can make it more difficult to express something on a material level. There could be aspects which can make this expression more difficult. For example, Saturn having a tough aspect with a planet which is bringing some creative potential. Yeah, this could bring some, it may feel like a fear, it may feel like doubts, or it could be many, many things, of course, depending on the combination. But in the birth chart, we may recognize what can block us, or what could be kind of problematic, or at least may require more work. From Another perspective, this is coming from GSR. This is the other technique which I'm using in my work. GSR is the system which works with your inner world. So anytime someone asks me, okay, I see I have this in my chart, I recognize I have this problem or I have this blockage, what do I do with this? I now have an answer for all of those questions, and my answer is GSR. This is the technique which can allow you to work with your inner world and to fix barriers or where the energy is dropping, you don't have enough energy, or basically everything which you focus on, which you feel, which you want to change or manifest. So from this perspective, from the GSR perspective, our limitations or blockages are coming from our ancestors. Recently, I found, but I need to search, I didn't screenshot it. Someone was has published like a calculation, estimation, how many ancestors do we have on average? And they calculated it, and on average, within the last 400 years, there have been more than 2,000 ancestors that you have. So yes, we don't talk just about your grandma and your grandpa. We talk about thousands of people who have lived before you. And of course, if you go back even beyond the 400 years, there will be even more ancestors. So what we get from the family system, from our ancestors, are our resources, our potential, our abilities, all of this. But they all come with some kind of distortions because of the challenges that our ancestors have experienced. So it's a very long topic. It's a very important one. But basically, in simple words, let me give you an example. Let's say I'm thinking about a life example right now. Let's say that you would like to paint something or become a painter. In order to do that, you need to put yourself out there. You need to be open to the idea that your work will be seen by other people, that you will be seen by other people. Let's say that 3 generations before you, there has been a grandfather or great grandfather or something who has been heard because they became popular. For example, this creates a distortion in the family line, in the family resource, that to be popular, to be seen, to be recognized, this is potentially dangerous. So nowadays in your life, technically and objectively, you are not in danger. And consciously and rationally, you say, yes, I want to do this. I want to create stuff. But this is much stronger than your conscious desire and the rational mind. And this energy can stop you and can block you. Because for the family system, the most important thing has always been survival and will always be survival. And if something sounds like a potential danger, you will do everything possible to avoid it. So you will not put yourself out there. You may experience different things. You may call this fear or feeling unworthy or whatever, 1,000 things. And this is one ancestor having this experience. But think about 200 within the last 2,000 within the last 400 years. most likely there have been many, many others who also have something that affects you or your desires. And this is happening all the time with everything. So yes, there are many things that can change, stop, or even block our potential. But it doesn't mean that it's not there. And it doesn't mean that you can't change this. Yes, you can. Especially if you have the focus on this. Like if you're asking yourself, could I do this? If you want it, it means that it's somewhere in your field. Yes, this is a little, I'm going too much into the GSR area. There could be different reasons why we may want something. It could be out of frustration because we want to escape from somewhere. So we come up with some kind of vision that we want to pursue, but we don't actually want this thing. We just want to escape from the other place. So this is when we are doing things on frustration, not the best option. Usually we don't get to the final result. Another possibility is when we are trying to compensate something. For example, during my childhood, I was, let's say, neglected, or was told that I would never make it, or that my drawings are very ugly or whatever. And then I'm like, I will show them, I will prove them that they are wrong, that I'm worthy. So it's a compensation. I want to compensate this feeling of unworthiness that has started during my childhood. Also not the most constructive thing, even though we have many of those and it's totally fine. But the best case is when we can find what's called the flow, our own flow. So this is really fifth house. This is really the fifth house energy. When you do something because it brings you joy, because it inspires you, you are motivated, not because you want to run away from something, not because you want to compensate for something, but because you want that particular thing, or even not the thing as much as the process. So yeah, all of this is relevant. Now, back to a little bit of astrology. I told you about the importance of time, that actually there is a fantastic video. I don't have the link now to show you inspirational video about, I think they were mostly women, but maybe people in general, I don't know, who found their talents late in life, like late bloomers. There were examples like, I don't know, somebody going into anyway, it's very inspirational, like doing something that seems impossible in your 70s, in your 80s. So it's never too late. And some potential can really be expressed later in life. Another perspective I want to add about the general characteristic of positive is challenging indications in the birth chart. What do I mean by positive? This could be, for example, a planet in a very strong sign position. Let's say your Venus is in Libra, or a planet in a very accentuated house position, for example, Jupiter on MC, or harmonious aspects. Let's say Venus trining your Jupiter, or basically anything in the birth chart, which traditionally we consider as good, positive. I personally try to stay away from those words as much as possible. I prefer to say harmonious, but for most people, we use this. We say positive, good aspects or positions. And the idea that only those can show your potential. And on the other side, the opposite statement that challenging indications, like, for example, a planet in a very weak sign, let's say Venus in Aries, or in an uncomfortable house position. Okay, let's go with Venus again in 8th house, for example, or the challenging aspects, squares, oppositions. The more superficial understanding is that it's great to have many of the harmonious or positive indications, and they show your talents, your skills, and that the bad or the negative or the challenging indications, they indicate things that you should stay away from, or that you can never be successful there. My experience shows that this is extremely superficial approach, and things are not that simple, and they don't work like that. The truth is that many of the positive indications can make someone feel kind of lazy and passive, and they may really have this as a potential. Yes, let's say you have, I don't know, Mercury trining Jupiter. So yes, you can be, you can handle very well with information, or even with teaching this information, or with making the right conclusions from, you know, for example, objective facts and turning them into a whole theory, or like, yes, potentially you may have this, but sometimes people don't use this because they don't have enough motivation. It feels, you know, also what I have noticed, which is a very common, at least potential problem, that especially with the harmonious indications, very often people have the illusion or the false assumption that this is nothing and everybody is able to do this, and they don't appreciate their own abilities or talents or skills or all of this. It's like, well, that's just, you know, so easy, it's natural, everybody can do this. No, that's not the case. But people can sometimes miss things because of this perspective. That's one thing. The other side about the challenging indications, I have seen many people, actually most people who are successful have many challenging indications. Many squares, or even tau squares, or grand cross, or difficult aspect configurations, or other type of challenges in the birth chart. But the truth is that those indications can show you, first of all, they can motivate you more, because you feel like something needs to be developed, something needs to be improved. You are more focused on taking action when you have some challenging indications. With the harmonious indications, it feels like it's kind of floating, it's okay, I don't need to do much about it. Of course, I'm generalizing big time, so every case would be absolutely unique, but I'm showing you like what could be the potential difficulty that we don't always recognize. On the other side, the challenging indications can motivate you incredibly and can bring you strength and desire to pursue something. And eventually it can turn into a bigger success. Plus, challenging indications, especially the challenging aspects, the squares and the oppositions, especially the major ones, they bring more intensity. They really bring more intensity. So if you are comparing, just as an example, let's say the sun trining Uranus with, on the other side, the sun having a square with Uranus. So one is considered to be very harmonious, you know, you have a trine between the sun and Saturn. The other one is considered to be difficult aspect, you have a square. What would be the difference? When you have a trine, yes, it happens in a smoother way, the energy is softer. it's not so challenging. It doesn't provoke you so much. So yes, you can, for example, come up with new things, you can innovate, you may have many ideas how to improve something, or overall, you can be someone who is open to changes. On the other side, the square between the Sun and Uranus can bring more tension. So yes, you may feel like sometimes you can't really control this energy. Sometimes it could be too much. It's not also consistent. That's the thing about the challenging aspects, is that the energy kind of like fluctuates or changes. So it's not with one rhythm or one direction all of the time. And this can be a challenge sometimes, yeah. But the potential there is much higher. So the person with the square between the Sun and Uranus, they could be someone who can drastically change and transform something, or do something that no one else has done before, or really innovate something, like completely. Yes, there is also the risk that sometimes, finding the right approach, and to present it, there are many sides of the story. But the challenging indications potentially bring higher potential, yes. So things are not simple, they are not superficial, and we can dig deeper into the chart for more insights. Another thing which I wanted to talk about, I called this point the shadow side of the positive indications, or the indications in general. This is like each of those points can be like a whole separate training, or at least a webinar. So I'm trying to, just give you the ideas and the directions. So the shadow side of the harmonious indications. This is something which potentially can affect our ability to express ourselves and to express our creativity. Each planet, each aspect, each house position, basically each indication in the birth chart may have also, it does have a shadow side, because we live in a world of dualities and polarities. At least here in the material reality, we always have two sides. So this is something which is not so obvious, but potentially can stop us. Let me give you an example with Jupiter. For example, let's say someone has, and I'm making this up right now, so someone has a square between Mercury and Jupiter. This is an aspect, if we don't consider, signs or houses, which can, of course, provide more information, but just stay on this level. Mercury square Jupiter. Potentially, it could be a great aspect that can help your mind to be more productive, to come up with more ideas, big ideas, important ideas, to process information or knowledge. So actually, many people who, for example, writers may have such aspects, or speakers, or teachers also. But what could be the shadow here? The shadow is that if we take Jupiter, one option, the person may have this idea that they already, for example, know too much, and they may not be open for new knowledge, for example. Or sometimes it could be the absolute opposite, to feel like you never know enough, so you need more and more knowledge. But in every indication, in every position in the chart, you can find something like this, what I'm calling the shadow side. So, for example, if I'm someone who has a square between Mercury and Jupiter, and I really do have this potential to write, to speak, to teach, but let's say I'm at the beginning of my journey, and I have internally, even if it's not too much on the surface, but somewhere inside of me, I feel like I already know better than other people. I already know better than my teachers, so I don't want to listen to anybody else's ideas. I'm already the best, for example. This can stop me from growing because I might be putting myself higher than I actually am. And when you don't realize where you actually are, you can't develop. You can't really grow. With Jupiter also, what could be another thing? Another shadow. Let's say I can't prioritize things properly, or I have the expectation that my very first work should be an incredible masterpiece. So I'm not settling for something small or mediocre, God forbid. No, that's just terrible for Jupiter. Well, can you see how this can also stop you? Because even if you find your creative potential and you start walking this path, chances are you will need some time. It's like a learning curve. Yes, sometimes people make masterpieces, like, in classical music, we have even, early age people creating masterpieces. Yes, for some people, in the whole history of humanity, there are some examples, but for the most part, it takes time. So the point is that there are some shadows or hidden, maybe we can call them traps, or at least things that we don't see, and they are also affecting our potential. So all of this is also part of the picture. Another thing I want to mention, which is, by the way, very connected to the previous point about the shadow, if you really want to tap into your deepest, most authentic potential, your best creative self, you need to be very open, honest, and I would say even brave. Because when you start exploring your chart and yourself, and you will find many things that you will not like, that you would prefer not to see, that you would not want to admit. That's true for absolutely everybody, because no one is perfect, no one is a saint. And again, we live in the world of dualities. So the light always has another side. So to reveal your full potential, your creative potential, you need to keep this in mind, that you need to be willing to at least begin looking into yourself and also admit the things that you didn't want to admit before. And it's a long process. This isn't something that is like a 1 week retreat and you are done. Usually it's a very long process. It could be a lifetime process, actually. If you want to keep developing, you need to keep looking into yourself. And because if you read, for example, Carl Jung, a fantastic psychologist, psychiatrist, also an astrologer, he's the one who really brings this idea about the shadow. In different esoteric teachings, by the way, they have had this idea, but at least in the more scientific modern world, I think he's the one who really puts this together, the idea about the inner shadow. Yes, the shadow includes qualities and things that we don't like, that we don't want to see, we judge, personally, it could be because of society, it could be the family environment, but those are things which are unacceptable for us. They are ours, they belong to us, but we don't want to see them. We don't want to admit, even in front of ourselves, that we have those. Everybody has this, everybody has a shadow. But the point is that when you suppress those qualities or things that you don't like, you consider that they are wrong or whatever, there are also other parts of you which are being suppressed as well and are not expressed. And your creative potential has a lot to do with the shadow also. So when I say working with the shadow, I don't mean that, we should allow our most basic aggressive instincts to control our behavior. I don't mean this. I mean realizing and seeing, for example, that yes, you do have some aggression, for example, or something else. And to be able to contain this and potentially to try to sublimate this energy, to find a constructive way to use it, because every energy can be used in a constructive way as well. So yes, that's why this journey of, finding your creative potential, expressing it, also requires courage, honesty, and openness. And this is building up with time. It's not a one-time act. You need time to go deeper and deeper. And it's, again, layers after layers after layers. Another direction or focus I want to bring about creative potential in the birth chart. There are particular planets which are considered to be more relevant. And the planets which are the most creative are the Sun and Uranus. The Sun is the only star in our system. It really resonates with our true self, our creative potential. Uranus is the first invisible planet, the first from the outer planets. And it's what breaks the energy, that breaks the routine, changes the patterns, brings something new. So those planets are extremely important. But in general, the outer planets are extremely important. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. The outer planets, they are also called collective planets because they represent energies or processes which are not individual. They are collective. They define, for example, where the whole humanity is going, or the evolution of our consciousness, or some very, very big processes, which I assume that we don't even understand rationally with our human mind. And it's normal, again, because it's something very, very big. For example, I don't know, like tendencies in art, like where are things going, or even like fashion, or what's popular, or what's all of this, what is currently important from a social perspective. That has a lot to do with the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. That's why those planets play a very important role when it comes to our creative potential as well. Especially if we have this focus to create something which is not just for us, but has a bigger purpose, which is for other people as well. To do that, you need to be able to channel or to process this energy, which is transpersonal. It's not just yours. It's coming from something bigger, something collective, the outer planets. So from this point of view, the positions of the outer planets can be very important, and especially the connection between the outer planets and the personal planets. So Pluto, Neptune, Uranus with your Sun, Moon, Mercury, even the other planets like Mars, Venus. The more connections you have between those, the more you can be someone who channels this energy. Like, for example, there is a bigger process which affects us as a collective, and you as a person can bring something or create something which is relevant to the major themes or tendencies, the collective direction. So outer planets, of course, they all have different direction and focus, but in general, they are very important for this, especially, again, if you want to influence other people. Okay. I have 2 more points. Okay, I will go through them. I will give you everything, even though we are a little bit. Anyway, yeah, time is flying as usual. The next thing I wanted to talk about are aspect configurations. Aspect configurations are 3 or more planets which are connected with different types of aspects. It could be any type of configuration. Of course, they have their own specificities. Like, for example, the Grand Trine brings one type of characteristics. The Finger of God would bring another type of characteristics. But overall, closed aspect configurations indicate that you can, first of all, mix or combine the energies of different planets together, and that you can do something with this energy. It's not always easy, yes, of course, especially if most of the aspects are challenging in this configuration. It doesn't mean that it would be easy, but you have this potential. So aspect configurations play also a significant role in this. But again, as I said, this one in particular can be like a whole training. And one more thing I wanted to add about the so-called creative aspects. The creative aspects, they are not so commonly known. I think not everyone uses them. I personally find them very interesting. Creative aspects are the ones from the group of the quintile. Quintile, semi-quintile, biquintile, quintile and a half. I think that's the group. So the variations of the quintile. If you have some of those aspects, it doesn't guarantee you that you would be extremely creative. So that's also a false assumption. But what's interesting about the creative or also green aspects is that they can help you to change things. And change has a lot to do with creativity, or creativity has a lot to do with change, actually, because there could be change without creativity as well. But yeah, in the other direction, it's more connected. So the aspects from the group of the quintile may also indicate more special gifts, potential. And again, I can tell you the truth that I have seen quite a few charts of people who have many green aspects. By many, I mean 4, 5, 6. This is already a lot. And they're not using them at all. Like, they are not creating anything meaningful, at least for now. This may change, of course. So they are not easy. And generally, creativity is a, very special process, inner process mostly. But if we want to work with this, if we are consciously aware, if we explore this potential, the green aspects can also guide us a lot in this direction. What can we do in a different way What can we change? Also, the green aspects, they bring choices. You're not forced to do things. That's actually one of the major challenges why some people don't use them, because they are not like the squares and the oppositions. They don't put you in the corner and force you to do something with this. No, you have this option, you have the other option. Choose. You want to do something meaningful? You want to watch Netflix? You have a choice. Nobody's pressuring you. That's why it takes more, not just self-awareness, and it's not just discipline. It's something bigger than that, even though those also can apply. But I guess purpose. Yeah, that's the word. You do need to have a purpose. And that's very important. When you have a purpose, yes, every now and then you may fall into the Netflix trap or whatever it is. Of course, nobody can, well, most people can't be creative 100% of the time. That's also normal. But if you have a purpose, then you have much better chances to use your creative potential, and especially with the green aspects. So I think I can pause here, because again, this is something that we are actually going to talk about for months. So this is just starting point. Also something that you can take and apply right now, especially if you have some astrology knowledge. You can just think about those points and use them in your practice. I would love also to see your comments. I will do that. And your questions. As I said, I will do a live demonstration now. We will take one person if they want to and see how we can do this live. But before that, I want to tell you a little bit more about the new program, which starts next month during March. It's called Astrology and GSR in a Rush for Creativity. And it's for people who want to find their own potential and express it and use it. Yes, you may have like a concrete focus, like you want to be a writer, or you already are a writer, or music, or whatever. It could be really something art related, but it's much more than that. You can do your business in a creative way. You can live your whole life. You can raise your kids in a creative way. So everything can be done in a creative way, in your own unique way. So that's what we will explore. We will study astrology for this, first of all. And people who want to join the program will get access to pre-recorded classes. It's my whole natal astrology course. So you get this part, like the whole natal astrology, which generally explores every important indication in the chart, starting from elements, signs, aspects, planets in signs, houses, all of this. And in addition to that, we are going to meet every week, and we will discuss the same material, but from the perspective of creativity. So, for example, you learn about the elements. That's where we start. You learn about the elements, their typical qualities, their positive sides, their challenging sides, which is general and very important to know. But then when we meet live, we will explore how this applies to creativity in particular. What are the specificities? And of course, we will discuss questions. We will probably practice together. It will be a very alive process. So it's not something, we have a curriculum. We will follow this. But my goal is that this is really a live process. And actually, my desire is that everyone who wants to join has an intention when they are joining the program. It could be something concrete or something more general. It depends on you. I will share with you what would be my thing. For me, it will be music and the piano in particular. So I will be focusing until the end of the year on this. That's what I want to explore, what I want to express more of. It inspires me. Of course, it resonates with my current transits, progressions, all of this. Neptune is hitting me from every side, of course. But I really want to do this. And yeah, you may find your own thing. It could be more general, like finding what inspires you, or I don't know, create your business in a creative way. But it's nice to have some kind of intention, what you would like to work on or manifest, or what would be your personal purpose to do this. So that's why the process will be very alive, because everyone will have something that they know is important to them. We will discuss whatever you want. If you want to share, if you don't want to share, of course, that's also fine. And then the other interesting part, which will be optional. So if you want to do the astrology part, and that's okay, and you don't need anything else, perfect. But if you want also to have a technique that will help you to work and transform the things which are stopping you, blocking you, all the 1,000 stuffs that we have, we will use GSR in addition to that. GSR is the method I already mentioned to you. It's a system for self-development. That's what GSR stands for, System for Self-Development. It's a technique which allows us to work with ourselves, so everybody can learn to do sessions for themselves. And if you want to do this, you just need to get the GSR Module 1. It's from the creator of the technique. The price is something around, I think, $200 or something. You have access to all of the lessons, the instructions, everything is very clear. Yes, it takes time to learn. It depends how much time you will put on this, but eventually you will have a technique which allows you to, you just need any kind of papers, basically. Any kind of papers, you need a little bit of space on the floor, a little bit of free time, and your desire to work on yourself. And first of all, you can use the method for everything, like you are in a bad mood, or you feel, I don't know, anxious, angry, whatever. But we can also use it more strategically. We explore our chart, and from there, we find which are the energies that we want to transform and work on. And this, my friends, is a whole other story and journey, which, I'm honestly, I'm really happy, because people always have this question. Okay, I see my problems in the chart. I see my difficulties. What do I do with this? And yes, to be aware of this is the first step, which is important and very helpful. And very often it also helps you to transform and change things. But now I really have an answer, which I'm very happy with. And this is GSR. This is the technique which can help you to work with those energies. And yes, it may take some time to learn to do this. It's, again, not a one-time thing, but you really can change your whole life if you use it. And especially in combination with astrology, it's really what can help you to find your deepest potential and also express it in the most authentic and cleanest way. So for those who want to do the second part, this is also included. You're not paying anything additional except for getting the first module, which is around $200. And for now, my plan is to meet twice a month, so bi-weekly. We will see how it goes. We may change something, but probably that's how we will begin, meeting every other week. I personally am a GSR specialist and expert pro. A specialist is someone who can do sessions for other people. The expert is someone who can lead people long-term. So this is like a whole other story. It's not a one-time session. It's like an ongoing support. So this is something unique, again, in the system, this expert support. So during those bi-weekly classes, we will explore how we can combine astrology with GSR, and I will answer your questions. And again, it will be very alive process. So it will depend on your needs, especially during those bi-weekly sessions. In addition to that, there are options if you want to work closer with me, like have also individual sessions. That's also an option. My desire is to do this together. So we have an intention, we have a, you may call this purpose, I guess, or I don't know, however you want to call it. But everyone will work on something that resonates with them. Your purpose might be also to learn astrology better and use it for creative purposes, or even to be an astrologer who works with creative people. That's also totally relevant. But when we are doing this in a group, when there is someone who is also leading the process, things happen in a very different dynamic. So I'm, again, personally also very excited to see how things will develop. So that's what we will do. We will have also 1 month break, but there are more technical details. You can go to the website marsstars.net, and I think at the top somewhere there was the message and the page for this program. So that's what we will do. Is the GSR material in English? Yes, it is translated in English. There is also an updated version, which is currently going through translation. So there will be, and basically it's the same technique, but it's just, you know, the videos are a little bit more modern, like, yeah, it looks more up to date. It's currently being translated, but the first version is available in English, yes. Thank you for the reminder. I almost forgot about this. There is a new thing in the system, which is very nice. There will be free groups organized by GSR curators. The curators are the ones who work with your technique. So they work with people and teach the actual steps and the techniques. And it's very, very new. Like, I think it was announced a week ago or so that people who have the module, so the $200 course basically, can join every group they want to. When the group is organized with a curator, they don't pay anything in addition, and they can ask questions. They will be supported by the curator. I personally have the intention to assist organizing such group, and to ask a curator. We'll see how we'll make this work, but I'm pretty sure that this will also be included, that free, you will be able to join another group. I don't know how many sessions, it depends on the curator, but usually it's between 5 and 10 sessions, group sessions. If needed, I will translate, I will be there to support the process. So you will also get this first-hand help, which the system is offering. So this isn't my contribution. It's really my contribution will be to help and to assist and maybe translate if needed. But it's really incredible because before it wasn't like that. Anyway, now, do we have someone? You can type in the chat, but please, it's nice to have like a particular question or request. Like, for example, I don't know, you feel creatively stuck or you feel confused, or I need something concrete to work with. Not just, this is my chart, tell me. Like, those are not the most helpful readings. I would like someone who has a concrete request or question or problem somehow related to creativity. And please, you can share in the chat, and I will just intuitively pick someone. How can you purchase the first module? On my website, somewhere there is a link, because it's not directly from my website, but I put it somewhere. Yeah, I need to find it also, but somewhere in the GSR stuff. Okay, so who wants to be a volunteer? Please, you can just say me or I, and we'll see. Okay. How about ego? Would you like to, I will, let me see how you can. You can unmute yourself, I think, and turn your camera. Let me see, how can I?
Hi.
Turn your camera on, or?
I'm sorry, I'm without a camera. Cannot put it on. It doesn't work. Do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but I prefer if I can see you also. You don't have a way to turn your camera on?
No, unfortunately, where I am, the connection is bad and my camera is very poor, so it will ruin the connectivity. But
would you like to try it anyway? Because I want to be able to.
Yeah, I understand. Let me see what I can do.
Is this a picture or?
No, it's a picture.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I see something blurred. I don't know.
Now it seems that crashing even.
Okay. Let's do it without the camera then. I would just listen to you. Can you please tell me your birth details?
Okay, it's
I don't have them, right? Have you ever had a reading with me? Hello? I'm afraid our connection is not good. Okay, I'm sorry, Ego, but we cannot hear you. So, yeah, we will need to do this another time with you. Okay, then. How about, I'm sorry, Yuli Vardi, or how do you pronounce your name? You have many questions. Let's see. Can you, can you unmute yourself? Hello? I can see you. I cannot hear you yet. I can't hear you. Interesting. Something with Mercury is happening. Our connection is a little bit problematic. Yes, the connection. I understand. It's
okay. Can you hear me now?
yes.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Perfect. What is your name, please?
Ili.
Say that again.
Ili.
Ili. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Can you please tell me your birth details?
Yeah. I was born on January 9.
Yes.
At 1:35 a.m.
AM.
Oh.
What year? The year?
Yeah. 1993.
Okay. And the place?
I was born in Petah Tikva, Israel, but I think you can also write Tel Aviv if the.
How close is this to Tel Aviv?
It's pretty close, and it's the same time zone.
Okay. Can you tell me the city? And if I can't find it, we'll use Tel Aviv. Can you say?
Petah Tikva.
If you can type it in the chat for me.
Yeah, I can.
It'd be lovely because I'm.
Yeah,
not
I know it's a hard
certain.
language and it's a hard letters and.
Yeah. It's just want to make sure. So.
And another option would be like that with the V and the K.
Now you have different options. All right. Let me see what you wrote. Beta. Aha, it's 2 words. Okay. I found it. Yeah, there is. Found it. Time zone is +2. Yes. Right. Let me just put this on my software. Okay. Almost ready. I will just share my screen with you now. Okay. So, Yuli, would you like to tell me a little bit about your situation, the questions, or generally?
Yeah. Okay. In general, my father also does a little bit of astrology, so I kind of grew up with that.
Mhm.
And he kind of always told me that I'm very talented in writing,
Mhm.
especially when it comes to poetry or something more journaling and stuff like that.
Mhm.
The thing is, I'm not passionate about it at all.
Mm. You don't enjoy it. You don't enjoy it. You don't like it.
Not much.
Mhm.
I tried to give it a chance, but I always, run to different. I used to write about music, and I was way more enthusiastic to learn about the music than to write about it.
Mhm.
And in a process of trying to overcome my fears about becoming a musician, but I still feel like I've got a lot of blocks when it's come to it, whether it's comparing myself to other people, whether if it's thinking I'm not talented enough,
Mhm.
stuff like that. I think that's the main thing, because all the other questions I have comes from that doubt.
Mhm. What would you like? How would you like things to be, or what would you like to develop or work on?
In what aspect?
In terms of creativity or anything that is relevant to you, which is important.
I want to be able to do music without judging myself so harshly, and I want to be able to, well, how would I say it? I want to be able to do it all the time whenever I'm up, without neglecting my other needs, like my physical needs, whether it's gaining money for food or paying rent and stuff like that. I want to develop the ability to actually not only do it and enjoy it, but also work with it, knowing that I'm good enough to be able to work in it.
Currently, are you separating the two processes? Like one is your creative work, the other thing is earning money for life.
Currently I am, and I don't like it.
Because that's how it sounded. You see, this is very important because it sounds like in your mind those things don't even interfere, they don't exist together, they are like two different processes.
I grew up like that, so yeah.
But that's like like a limitation right from the start, that you are even taking this as a given, like you are not even looking in this direction. I asked you because that's very important, how you phrase or what you express as a desire. And what you said was, I want to be able to do my creative music work like all the time when I can. And at the same time, I want to be able to, earn money for life. I forgot your exact words, but like, for food and for the stuff you need.
Yeah.
You didn't even put it like, I want to combine those two, like I want music to bring me money.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I was rephrasing it bad, but I meant I want them to come together. Right now they're separated, and I don't want that.
Okay, but do you see how you presented it? That in your mind, this is like a given. And that's very important. It's not just technical side that you forgot, but it's like how you expressed it. It means that on certain level, for you, those are two separate processes. And it's like do you get my point?
I do get your point, and I also know where it comes from.
Mm-hmm. And it's, I guess, something very important to consider.
It is. It's something I also trying to work on.
Mm-hmm. So if we look at, first of all, the most impressive thing in your chart is this stellium here. You actually have something called, well, it's two things, burnt Uranus and burnt Neptune, which is like extremely rare. Because one planet is, let me just check if they are just burnt or they are also Cazimi. Neptune is Cazimi. So that's like, okay. A burnt planet is a planet which is within 3 degrees away from the sun. And this is already something exceptional. And it means that it's like the qualities of the planet are blending with the qualities of the sun, which means with your individuality, with your personality. When a planet is Cazimi, technically it means that it's no more than 17 minutes from the degree. So very, very close to the sun. It's Cazimi. And it's called in the heart of the sun. So obviously that's even more rare. Very, very few people have those positions. And it's an even stronger connection and something even more special. As in your case, this is Neptune. So both Uranus and Neptune are extremely important. But Neptune is even more. And Neptune is the ruler of your 5th house, which is the house of creativity, self-expression, everything that we can do with our soul and heart. So, of course, it's your 3rd house position of the stellium that your father has told you about, the writing and the creative expression through words. I completely agree with this. But the thing is that your stellium, Mercury, Uranus, Neptune, the sun, is also part of a Tau square with Mars and the moon and with Jupiter. So this is relevant to what I talked about earlier, that challenging aspects can bring even higher potential, but also there are some challenges that come with them. And I think that this is your case. So we need to explore the moon with Mars and also Jupiter. The moon with Mars first of all, this is a position which can bring the feeling like you need to have battles, like you need to somehow fight with the world, or that the world is somehow hostile, or basically when it comes to certainty, we need to work, or even feeling safe, because the moon with Mars, even though Mars is not in a strong sign position here, the moon is stronger, but it's still, there is still a connection between them. So do you feel sometimes, or do you call yourself sometimes lazy?
I do feel lazy sometimes, yeah.
Yes. This is how it may look like on the outside, but the deeper reason for this is feeling unsafe. And this is mostly coming from the subconscious, those stories that I talked about, like the 2000 ancestors within the past 100 of years who have been, I don't know, hurt or whatever, like many, many experiences. For whatever reason, for you, it feels unsafe to express or to relate to this world, or it may feel like everything should come with a, with a huge effort, with the Mars energy. And on the surface, it may look like laziness or passiveness, but they are deeper roots. And again, they are mostly related to the safety. Another thing is, if we look at the house positions, 3rd and 9th house. So it's like 2 different focuses or 2 different polarities. Let me see. Your notes are also somehow relevant, by the way. The notes are in Gemini, Sagittarius, so it kind of treats this a similar topic. It's about finding the connection between the vision of something. It could be a goal, an inspiration, but something major, or a belief. This is the 9th house. And then finding the tools and the ways to, or even like, to turn it into concrete steps and to do something about it. Within you, there might be a little bit of separation, like my future, it could be dreams or goals or visions. It's like what you can imagine long term or in a perfect world. And then there is your current reality, like your daily life, who you meet on a daily basis, like how things are happening. And there is like a separation between those. Again, this is how you present it. That's why I want someone, to really, because the words we are choosing are not by accident. Even the way you presented your question or your request sounded like two different processes. Like one is my creative work, the other one is, so to speak, my life, or earning for my life, or providing for my life. Like there is a gap, there is like separation between those.
Yeah, it's actually something I feel my entire life, not only regarding to my creativity, or
yes.
It's always been there. And in some cases I managed to balance it, but that's something I still really work on.
Yeah, you can, that's the lesson, and also something that eventually with the opposition we can achieve. This is to integrate the two polarities, which would mean, having the vision, the idea, and then being able to do something in a concrete way. And it's interesting that Jupiter is the focal point of your Tau square. So Jupiter is a planet which, first of all, is the ruler of your North Node. Also, it's naturally associated to 9th house. So one of the polarities in the opposition. So let's see what is the role of Jupiter here, because it's also the solution to this dilemma, or to this contradiction that the opposition brings. Jupiter likes to keep things futuristic, to keep things, as a long-term vision, or even to, in your case, it may feel like something like this. I like some kind of conditions. I will do this when I feel like this, or I become like this. For example, when I feel more confident, I will be able to, create more of my music or my creative stuff or whatever. It's like putting some kind of conditions. Like I need to be like this, or have those qualities, or actually it sounds more like in the future. When I am able to feel more confident, I will create more stuff. Or you may even switch things. Like if I create the music, I will be more creative, but I will be more confident. But the most important point here is that this gap, like something that separates the present and the future somehow. And your lunar nodes can also be They are always relevant, of course. This is our direction. You need to get out of the shadow zone, which is 8th house, the invisible world, the non-manifested energies, into the more practical and concrete stuff, which is 2nd house. And actually, I think that you even have the potential to teach other people. That with time, you will be able to do this. And this can be like a very important focus for you. 9th house, generally 3rd, 9th house is the axis of knowledge. Your nodes are also in such sign positions. Jupiter is here. Pluto, the ruler of your ascendant, in 1st house, trining the moon, the ruler of 9th house. So potentially you can teach other people, you can share a message. Remember, I talked about the importance of the outer planets. In your case, Neptune is Kazimi, Uranus is burned by the sun, and Pluto rules your ascendant and is in 1st house. I'm not paying so much attention to the signs of the outer planets, but if you want to consider that Pluto is also in its own sign, you might even add this. But even just having Pluto in 1st house is already you know, also what could be something to work on. This in relation to Moon, Mars, and on the other side, Pluto. So what is Mars? Mars is our personal willpower, the willpower that we use on a daily basis. You know, when things are routine or when we need to do some kind of work, this is Mars. Pluto is also a planet related to willpower, but it gets triggered either when something is critical or like extremely important, or there is a potential danger, or also in situations when we are doing something with more impact, like something with the social importance, or, you know, not just for ourselves. So your Pluto is much stronger than your Mars. And one pattern might be that you become much more active when things are intense, that you need intensity or some kind of drama or something which is, well, yeah, it may sound like something, well, yeah, it could sound like danger. When things are too routine, simple, kind of boring, you may kind of like, your energy may drop down. Because Mars is in a weak sign, it's in Cancer, and it's retrograde. And also your motivation, and I think also your productivity and results will be much more significant if you are doing something that includes other people.
Yeah.
So, because that's how you will activate your Pluto. And not only Pluto, also the other outer planets, but especially in relation to this Mars-Pluto situation. So some kind of intensity and importance, you know, it needs to sound like this is a real must for me, not just, well, it would be nice, it would be, but to be like, you know, more with dedication, with passion, with, and again, not just for you, but with more impact for other people as well.
Yes, but that's part of it, because when I work with other people about an idea, I get really passionate about it, and if it's something I really believe in and it's something I want to do, and I can do it very good. I have the energy for it. And when I do something for myself,
you're breaking up a little bit. I'm not sure if it's just.
And when I do something for myself, I feel like I want to do it, but I struggle with the energy itself. To start it. Once I start, I'm okay. Yeah, I have the energy. I can do it for hours. Related to music, I'm talking about music right now because you know. But yeah, that's like, I think that's what you were talking about when you said there is something I need to work on.
Yes.
So I guess my question would be like, how? I'm really trying.
I told you my answer now is the GSR technique. That's what you use for every issue you have, like to transform things. That's the other thing is, of course, yes, some kind of strategy, like understanding how things work for you. Absolutely, that's also helpful. But if you want like a tool to change the actual energies, that's my answer. And digging deeper into also exploring like what motivates you. Why, for example, in your case, there is also one more direction. Because of the strength of the outer planets, they are like extremely strong in your chart. It might be difficult to separate yourself as an individuality from those, collective energies. So it might be a little difficult for you to find yourself, like where is just you and not the collective energies or Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. So yes. You see what I mean? Like to connect more to the sun, but just the sun. Because especially when you have burnt planets, it's very difficult to separate. I personally have mine are not burnt, but I have the sun, Neptune, and Mercury in Capricorn also. And when we have the outer planets in conjunction with the sun, it's difficult to differentiate like what is just me, like purely me, and what are the energies that are around me coming, I don't know, from 100 places, the collective, other people around me, especially with Neptune, because the perception is much higher. So that's why you are probably not so in touch with this, because you can't separate them, like just you and yourself on your own. And because of that, when you need to take action in relation to something which is just for you, you also can't find the motivation, because maybe also you don't have the right answer, but what do I really want, or what should I do? So yeah, in astrology words, you need to connect and explore more your sun. And actually, yeah, that's like a...
You were saying...
I wanted to add also that actually you have a full moon as well. It's not just an opposition, but it's a full moon, the sun and the moon. Which in your case, I feel it's about using the outer world too much as a mirror in order to connect to yourself. Like it's difficult to connect to yourself directly. First of all, because of the full moon, and the moon is very strong, it's in Cancer. So you can sense, you can connect to the external world, to the environment, and also Uranus and Neptune affecting, being so close to the sun. It's difficult for you to find where is just you. And when you explore more your sun, when you connect more to it, what was the sun is ruling also your 10th house. So it's about the thing you are doing in this world, or your work, or your vocation. And you know, from a very concrete perspective, how do we work with the sun? You need to regularly ask yourself the question, what do I want? When the sun is problematic or we have some issues, and I even have had such questions, you know, clients asking me, what do I want? I can't answer this for anybody else, because what you want is something that you need to find for yourself. And I think that also, and here, what is the tricky part? That to make the difference between what other people tell you, and it's interesting that you even started with this. You even said, my father, he likes astrology, he has told me this and that. Your father is absolutely right about your potential, but you see, you even, this was one of the first things that you presented. Like, chances are that the external environment is affecting you a lot, because you are very open to sensing this, to connecting to this. But the tricky part here is that the pure connection with the self is more problematic. And you can sometimes mix things. And because it's more difficult to recognize purely your own desires, the sun, you take the ideas or the expectations or the dreams of other people as yours. And then there is like, no, it doesn't stick, you know, it doesn't, there is no energy to support this, you know, if you are going after someone else's dreams or expectations, the energy will not be there to support it, probably. So the first thing is just to recognize this, to bring your awareness, because it's even sometimes difficult to process this with the mind. You know, that I'm very open to the external world, both the closest environment because of the strong moon, but also like bigger collective energies and who knows, other flows and stuff. And to realize that your focus is a lot there, and to intentionally bring it more to yourself. And at first it may sound like, you know, something empty, like, what am I even doing? I don't know. What is that? Like, you know, what am I going after? Where is the sun? And that's actually part of the problem. Yeah. But when you have, first of all, the understanding, the awareness, and then the intention to search for your sun energy, your desires, yours, everything that we talked about, with time, you will be able to bridge this and to connect those. And creativity will, like real creativity, will come from there. Because again, the ruler of your fifth house is not just in conjunction with the sun. It's not just burned by the sun, but it's Kazimi. So you see, you can connect fifth and 10th house, which is for many people a dream to be able to do this.
Well, it is mine too.
Yeah, I understand you very well. It is a dream. So do you have any questions or anything you want to add?
I'd just like to say thank you. I cannot think of any other questions, but it was very, very, not only informative, but also very sensitive reading. And you gave me a lot to think about. So I really thank you for that.
You are very welcome. It was my pleasure. Thank you also for opening up, for sharing with everybody. This also takes courage, by the way. I know this very well. So thank you very much. Okay, so do you have any questions or Any shares? Wow, we are almost 2 hours. So together. Okay, I'm glad you liked this. Yeah, Yuli was very kind to share with us. Okay, so I think we can pause here. Something I have as an intention is to start doing those sessions more regularly and try to do them even on a weekly basis. So if you want to receive notifications, invitations, links, all the other good stuff, you can sign up for email updates on my website. But I will really try to turn this into a regular process where we meet, we talk about the particular topic, we do a reading or analysis for someone. And most likely it would be Sundays. We'll see, of course, sometimes things may change, but yeah, so if you want to stay in touch with this, you can, again, sign up for the email updates. I will also try to stream the videos on YouTube so people can watch them later. So yeah, we can practice, we can talk about concrete themes. I have some ideas, so yeah. Thanks to everybody for today. It was a real pleasure. Honestly, I didn't feel how 2 hours passed. Like, I don't know. It was just, time is flying when you are doing something nice. So have a beautiful week, and you will hear from me soon, and we will continue doing this together.